Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, it's time for below grade level. It's time for the fright of your life.
Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, the show where we take the books that we read as kids and read them as adults and ruin them. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton. With me as always is Bekah Eaton.
Hello.
And Chris Zaleski.
Hello.
Chris, your eyes, they're so wide.
Were they?
They were.
I wasn't looking.
When I said his name.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Those are wide.
How are you guys doing?
Fine.
Good.
Doing
Great.
my best to be attentive.
Are you just shocked because of our awesome guest that we have?
Yes, I am. Returning champion. You want me to say the name?
I thought you were going
champion,
to.
Kelly Fuller.
Hi.
Hey! Welcome back, Kelly. I think the last thing you read with us was maybe Animorphs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're so sorry.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's why I was like,
Always
you
a
know
bad
what?
time reading Animorphs.
Let's get Kelly in on this book because I'm pretty sure we've made you read Animorphs twice with us, and I feel bad for making anyone have to do that. And
owe
this
me.
this book is absolutely like fever dream batshit crazy, and you're gonna enjoy it more than the body horror of Morphin time.
I feel like the last time I was on, we were talking about the digestive system of morphing from human to animorph, and like,
We were.
Oh my god,
That's my
yeah.
favorite clip of the
what
show.
meal?
Yes.
What a meal consumed by whom? What's the poop like for the other?
Yes, that is
entity?
definitely what.
Poop go.
Where does the poop go?
So good news is I doubt we'll be talking about poop and digestive systems and like
Thank
body
God.
horror on this
Let's not
episode.
assume. Let's not assume.
The
Jonathan.
bad news is that we might
Always
talk
bad
about
news.
incest because that always comes up in a Christopher Pike book.
Yeah.
So
It's a real trade-off.
for Kelly, our guest, and for anyone listening, we are in the middle of reading Christopher Pike's Master of Murder. And Bekah, you want to tell us what happened last time?
Sure. So last time, Marvin got a new letter from his P.O. box that says they are going to kill you.
All right.
He goes over to Shelley's house, even though she told him she did not want to hang out with him, and he just lets himself into her house and walks right in.
Super
Where
cool.
he finds Shelley in the jacuzzi with Triad.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I think even before the first note I wrote down about that was Marvin literally cries. I think that's before even she started saying any of the other shit, which is that she only went out with Marvin to get him to do stuff for her, and she is also the reason that Triad wants to buy the motorcycle. She's like getting Triad to buy the motorcycle. And it definitely seems like she is actually dating Triad and just kind of fake dating Marvin to get him to, I guess, solve the murder/suicide of Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she put him in the detective zone.
So, for my own understanding, this person's name is Triad, like
Yes.
a
Yeah,
group
yeah.
of three.
Yes.
Or like a gang, like the mafia collective, the Triad.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't come up with this joke before, but he's the triplet who lived.
I don't get it.
I don't
Now,
get
is
it
this
either.
his name from birth, or is this a self-identifier or nickname or something? I just need to get to the root of Triad. I'm sorry, like
They have not
before we get
explained it
started,
at all. He just showed up and was like, "What's up? I'm Triad."
Yeah.
And
like, I'm a
we all
big
just had to
dum-dummy.
accept it.
I refuse
So-
to accept this.
Marvin goes to do some investigating, even though you'd think at this point he'd be like, fuck you and fuck Harry and who cares. But he goes to the bridge where Harry supposedly jumped off, and he finds like a piece of rope tied to the bridge. And based on the I don't know, like friction marks on the jacket of Harry's that he has, and the other clues, which were that not Triad, Harry's hands were oily, and I don't remember if there were fibers, I don't know, but anyway, he comes to the conclusion, based on seeing a piece of rope, that Harry was trying to murder Marvin and Shelley by tying a rope up across a bridge, knowing that they were going to be on Marvin's motorcycle. Oh my God, I already am broken. And we haven't even started reading. So basically, he thinks that he tried to tie a rope across a bridge to clothesline one motorcycle in particular, not killing anyone else, and thinks he must have fumbled it somehow and ended up like dangling from the rope off the bridge. That is the conclusion that he goes to, and based on he basically is getting inspiration from what he thinks was his own attempted murder. He has now decided, Marvin, that he wants to kill Shelley and Triad, and he hatches up some plan that we don't know exactly what it is yet, but he goes and buys a red Corvette. He makes plans to sell his bike to Triad. And he was like staying at a motel that night, I think. And here's where I'm confused at past me. Because I wrote a note that says, "I'm sorry, future Bekah," and I don't know why. I don't know what past me was apologizing for, because...
I think I told you to put that there.
Why?
Because the last episode was just so much.
I don't remember.
It was really, I mean, it was weird. Yeah, there's not a lot of context, because it was just like, he thinks he tried to kill them. Now he wants to kill Shelley.
Well,
Marvin buys a Corvette.
He went full super villain.
And then I wrote, "I'm sorry."
Like, really quickly.
Yeah.
He was just like, "I'm sad. Oh, now I'm going to commit murder."
Yeah.
And he's being super duper, if I remember right, like really creepy and weird about it. Also, he's talking to himself, like, "Yeah, this is how you'll do it." Like,
yeah, he's wearing the jacket that kid died in.
Yeah.
Maybe the jacket's haunted.
I can't wait to find out what other twist there. Like, I feel like it's already kind of twisted. We still don't know who's sending him the letters.
We don't know who's sending him the letters, and there's got to be something about his writing. That's a thing, because he's always talking about getting inspiration from the lake, and then he had this freaky dream where he was all the different characters in his books that felt like more than just a dream. I don't know.
What were the theories? That you had a theory and Chris had a theory.
There are a couple I wrote down.
Yeah.
Me and Chris both think that Marvin killed Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Chris predicted a sleepaway camp type situation, but I don't remember for
What is that? I don't even know what that means. Like...
fakery of identity.
Fakery of gender.
Oh, here's, I think, the most reasonable theory, because some of our theories happen when we're drunk. That Chris thinks that Shelley killed Harry and wants to be caught, and that's why she wants Marvin to investigate.
Right. Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
I think that Harry becomes like possessed by his writing powers, and
Marvin.
I don't know what's wrong with my
Or maybe
brain
they're the
today.
same person. No, that doesn't
one
make
of
any
them's
sense.
dead.
One of them's dead, yeah.
And they have different
other
parents,
people know them. Yes,
yeah.
that's right. Oh, right, they have... Yeah, that's right. Harry has a
Harry
mom.
has a young
that
hot
Marvin,
mom.
Oh, yeah, a young hot mom. Okay.
But yeah, I think
boy.
that somehow Marvin is acting out shit that happens in his books. Maybe, I don't know. I hope
Yeah.
not, because then his sister would die.
Kelly, real
She's
quick.
already dead. It's so fucking confusing.
Have you read... I can't remember. Have you read a Christopher Pike with us before?
Yes.
Okay.
The one
Cool.
where like it was like a VHS tape or something that was telling him the future.
Yeah.
The Eternal Enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good
Okay,
one.
good. So you're familiar with the wackiness. Okay, good.
Oh yes. I'm very excited for this, or very upset. I haven't decided.
I think both.
Time will tell.
I think
Yeah,
both are,
it's a
are
yes
pretty good.
and.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's just dive into it and see what happens. We're getting... I think we've got... I think we have this and one more episode for this book, because we're getting towards the end, maybe. Chapter 12! Marvin walked back to the Corvette and sat in his car for a long time and did nothing else. The leather upholstery was soft. It smelled nice. It was a new car. It was a brand new car. The steering was snug, but not too tight. The steering? What does that
Like
mean?
the wheel, like
Steering wheel?
the placement of the wheel
I don't know.
in relation to the seat.
Maybe
like
like
tight
how easy it is to
steering
turn it.
Like, did power steering not exist yet? I'm trying
But
to
he's
remember.
not driving. He's just sitting there.
He's just like touching the steering wheel. He's like, tight, yeah. It occurred to Marvin that he had been wearing Harry's
Snug.
jacket
Nice.
when he had made his deal with Triad, and Triad hadn't even noticed.
Theory, the
Oh,
jacket
right.
did it.
Marvin was beginning to get the feeling there was something he was missing. your marbles. He reviewed his analysis of what he had envisioned had happened the previous year, but could find no flaw. Harry must have been after revenge. No, why, he must not have. He must have accidentally hung himself. Maybe. All the evidence supported the scenario Marvin had developed. It's a stretch, Marvin.
He saw one rope and came up with so many details.
And
there's like an oil slick on the road or something. I don't know. There was so many details.
His theory was
he pulled out of his ass.
Really crazy, yeah. All the evidence supported the scenario Marvin had developed. It didn't support any other he could think of because he was clouded by murder. Yet Marvin knew
New
he
title
was
for the book.
clouded by murder.
I like that.
That's a good title.
Yet Marvin knew he was operating with major blind spots. You don't say.
Oh, I forgot to bring you a glass, I just realized. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll go get it now.
Okay. He still didn't know why Shelley had drawn him into the details of Harry's death. He didn't know who was sending him the letters. He didn't know why he had changed overnight from a mild-mannered mystery writer to a bloodthirsty teenager. Well, that's kind of on you, though.
Yeah.
That's not part of the scheme. That's just you being batshit crazy.
We don't know that either.
Yeah, we do not know that. But then he thought of Triad and Shelley together in the jacuzzi. He simply couldn't stop the images from returning again and again. And all he wanted to do was get back at them. What had he told the girl in the bookstore? Anne McGaffor had died the same way Harry Pastor had died? Had he been rambling? No, the connection was clear now, that he knew Harry had not committed suicide. But he hadn't known that when he'd started on his series. He could swear he hadn't. But when had he started the series? Hadn't it been a couple of weeks after they buried Harry? Hadn't he dropped another book to write it? God, he had started to sound like a man possessed.
Wait.
Yes.
Harry died 1 year ago, right?
Yes.
And did you just say that he didn't start writing his current series of books until after Harry was dead? So he's written like 5 books in a year?
Oh my god, it does say series.
Yeah.
Well, apparently in this world, you can just email your book to a
shit out a
publisher,
book,
and
yeah.
then it's on the shelves like the next day, and millions of people are buying it.
That is so crazy. No
Yeah.
one writes that
Prolific.
many books in a year except for R.L. Stein and Christopher Pike and all these authors.
Not like it matters, because even 2 books would be too many to write and publish within a year
Within
to become
1
that
year.
popular.
Yeah.
But how many books are in the series? Has it said?
I want to say 5.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Like,
I
either-
also want to say 5.
Yeah, either there have been 5 or there have been 4, and he's about to write the 5th and last one. That's
And
still...
This is an established writer who knows how the publishing world works.
yeah.
Like, what's the excuse?
He's like,
here?
teenagers won't know. This sounds right to them.
And I also... Okay, so, like, by that logic, he must just be shitting these books out in, like, a week.
He must, if
Or
he
2.
takes this long to write anything until the
Oh
deadline.
my god.
Is that why this power is so important to him to, like, try to do anything? Because it just cranks things out at super speed?
I guess.
And
Is
he does
gonna,
one
like,
draft.
feel the power and then write the whole book overnight,
He writes a
and
book...
then it's printed by the weekend?
He writes a book start to finish, and he's just like, no notes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Nailed it in the
No,
first
no
try.
editor needed. And
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Why had he written it? No more questions. No answers. Just kill the bastard and be done with it. It doesn't matter, Marvin whispered to himself. I'll finish it tonight. It doesn't matter. Finish what? The book that he hasn't started, or the
I
murders?
think the murder. I think
Okay. The multiple murders.
He'll finish it.
Sitting behind the luxurious wheel of his new car, Marvin began to doze. The parking lot where he sat was empty. The store was closed for Sunday. But he would not let himself sleep. He was afraid if he slept, he'd dream. He remembered then the dream he'd been having when his father had come over. He realized his subconscious had been trying to alert him to the fact of Harry's death by showing him Anne McGaffor in an identical position. And sorry about the blurriness of this page, Chris. Good luck.
It's all good. For a second, I thought I needed glasses. It may have been the dream that had allowed him to solve the mystery so quickly. Yet had the dream told him anything new besides how Harry had died? He could have sworn there were a couple of parts in there that hadn't been in his manuscripts or in the rest of the book. He probably should get those books out again and study them. He never really did read his own work, not once it was printed. His subconscious, his muse, his rage, his broken heart. What was the difference between any of them? I'm going to kill that bastard, then I'll get her, somehow.
What?
Marvin shook himself into an upright position. He was in a car. He was already in an upright position. He'd get something to eat before he headed for the bridge. If he doesn't eat, he gets murdery. It might be the last meal he enjoyed as an innocent man.
Oh, he's fueling up for murder.
He's like, I'm definitely going to get caught.
A page break, but I'm going to read the first part like we normally do. Page breaks. A couple hours later, cloaked in the darkness of a night so black it could have been made for crime. That is an amazing sentence. I'm going to read it again.
Whoa, you can't read that while I'm taking a
That
drink.
was great. Every now and then there's such a good sentence that I can't believe it's in this.
Yeah.
A couple hours later, cloaked in the darkness of a night so black it could have been made for crime, Marvin slowed his shiny Corvette on the road a mile before the Pella Bridge. It was exactly 6:26, and he had a small problem. He had no idea when Triad, hell yeah, would go to Pella, and it was too cold a night to hang onto the side of a bridge for several hours. What if he set up his rope and oil right now and Triad didn't decide to go to Pella until after 10 at night?
And he killed
His
an innocent person.
His body would be so frozen he wouldn't have the strength to pull up the rope in front of Triad. Marvin briefly wondered if that was what had happened to Harry. I was about to say that.
Oh my god.
So,
If
wait,
that-
his murder plot is to Looney Tunes someone?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Okay, just
Yeah.
checking.
His murder plot.
That's the same exact thing he thought that Harry was trying to do to them, which I still don't understand.
It doesn't make-
You
yeah.
can't just like yoink a rope across a bridge and like hold it up against a motorcycle.
It would.
I feel like
it would,
the only
rip
person
the
that would die
skin
would
off
be
of your
you.
hands. Yeah.
His name is Marvin E. Coyote.
His name is Marvin Acme.
Marvin briefly wondered if that was what had happened to Harry.
Roger Rabbit.
If that was how the guy had accidentally killed himself. Marvin could remember how cold it had been last year on Shelley's birthday.
Like tonight. Everything was like tonight. Marvin was reasonably certain Triad had not already passed him on the road to Pella. Triad had said he'd eat first before he went for the helmet. Marvin decided that the best course of action would be to wait until Triad crossed the bridge before setting up his rope. He would get Triad later, when Triad was on the way back. Say Triad again. That way
yeah.
he wouldn't
Triad.
have to wait out in the cold forever. Also, there would be less traffic on the road at a later hour. Sensible, Marvin.
Yeah.
Sensible murder plot.
Sensible murder.
Sensible Marvin, that's what they call him.
Not that there was ever much after sunset. Marvin pulled his car off the side and parked behind a tree that was over 100 yards from the edge of the road. He wanted to be sure he wasn't spotted. He killed the engine and the lights. He would have liked to leave the engine running so he could keep the heat on, but feared someone would notice, and later report to the police that there had been a suspicious vehicle in the area the night the football player crashed on the bridge. 7 o'clock came, followed by 8 and 9, and still
As
no
it
sign of
usually
Triad.
does.
Time!
And
it's
then
so
7
boring.
again.
Wow. Well,
6.
the heat seeped out of the car and left Marvin shivering in the front seat in Harry's leather jacket. Marvin began to despair that Triad was ever going to drive by, yet he didn't consider for a moment leaving and going home. He had the patience of an obsessed man, which he thought was an apt word for his condition.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Good job,
Nailed
you know
it.
words, writer. He spent the cold hours remembering his last date with Shelley last year, before Harry died. It had been a night of magic for Marvin.
When he had picked her up at home, she had greeted him at the door with a smile that he was never to forget, because he thought he saw in it her love. That I had to struggle with that one. Yeah, he thought she was falling for him, the way he was falling for her. Such a simple thing he knew. It happened all over the world between couples. but it had never happened to him before. And because she was his first, he wanted her to be his last as well. He considered asking her to marry him right then. He was already a successful author, long before his series appeared. He could have supported her. He would have done anything for her. Okay, so he has been crazy forever.
Okay. Cool.
But he's only revealed his crazy
Yeah.
to us. In the last few chapters.
But right now we're just like, oh, you've been super crazy. They went to dinner and ate their food by candlelight. You know how 16-year-olds do? Yeah. They went to a show and ate popcorn.
It was at Pizza Hut with the little red glass candle holders.
Yeah, those are romantic.
They went to a show and ate popcorn. They drove home at 90 miles an hour on his bike, and they didn't see or feel any rope as they flew over the bridge. 90 miles an hour? Jesus Christ, Marvin.
Irresponsible children.
He could remember her laughing in his ear, her happiness. Her parents had been away for that weekend as well, and he had kissed her on her bed until 4 a.m, not knowing that all the while Harry was hanging by a rope.
There was other stuff they could have done.
An icy river. To be fair, when I was that age, I was just like, I'll just kiss for a couple hours, right? I can't do anything else.
This is as good as it gets.
Sweet little
Making
babies.
out grand.
No other way to feel good. Shelley had not spoken of Harry once that night. In fact, just as he was leaving her at the end of their last kiss, she had whispered in his ear that this was what she wanted, that she didn't want anyone else. And he had believed her until Monday. A body found floating in the lake. Blue Monday. You know that song by New Order?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna layer that in under this whole next part. Why, he kept asking himself, why had she turned a cold shoulder to him when Harry died on Blue Monday? Why, if it was really him she loved on Blue Monday, of course the answer was painfully simple.
Oh my god.
How does it feel?
To treat me like you do.
God damn it.
Oh my god.
What if that's why they wrote that song?
Oh my god.
She could say and do anything. She didn't love him. She had proven that to him the previous night when he had caught her in Triad's arms. Yet there was something he was missing, something about her, something he was seeing but not understanding. Marvin sat up in his seat. He could hear a motorcycle in the distance, approaching swiftly from the direction of Sessa. He reached for his binoculars before remembering he had left them in the trunk. Fucking
The
idiot.
first mention of binoculars, I don't know why that made me laugh
I
so
just
hard.
assumed he'd kill the first person to drive over that bridge in a motorcycle without thinking about it twice. He cursed silently, although he knew he didn't really need them. He was far from the road and it was as black as it got, but he didn't need to see Triad to know for sure it was him. Who knew the sound of that bike better than he did? He just had to wait until the bike came a little closer. A couple of minutes later, he knew Triad had fallen for his bait. What bait? The buying of a motorcycle helmet? Or the giving...
Well,
He,
he
like,
like,
kept
yeah,
the helmet, right?
he was just like, you gotta go pick my helmet up. I'm so clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this motel.
Yeah. The motorcycle roared by Marvin's hiding spot at a hysterical speed, and the sound of its pistons was sweet music to Marvin's ears. Really, he told himself, in his next book he must make it so that his villain enjoyed doing in his victim. Sorry. So that his villain enjoyed doing in his victim. You know how
Yeah.
you talk.
That's how villains talk.
There was...
I'm going to do you in,
And I'm gonna enjoy it.
and I'm gonna enjoy it.
There was no
Yeah,
reason a
see?
murder mystery had to be gloomy. When Triad had passed, Marvin climbed out of his car and stood for a few minutes in the frozen air, watching the solitary headlight disappear over the distant hills. It was 8 miles to Pella from the river, maybe 10 to the actual motel. Triad would be back in half an hour if he didn't loiter in town.
Marvin doubted he would. There was school the next day, and then Shelley at night. Triad would probably want to go straight back to bed. What a dumb sentence.
They weren't in bed. They were in the hot tub.
Marvin decided to leave his car where it was and walk to the bridge. There were few trees between where he was parked and the river. It would be disastrous if Triad spotted him at the last instant, after he had set up the rope. He could go to jail. Triad could kill him. Neither a fun prospect. Besides, Marvin thought, he should walk and warm up. He grabbed his rope, the knife, the oil, and the binoculars, and headed toward the road. It was 9:44. Triad's motorcycle had been the last vehicle to go by for over an hour. Marvin doubted anyone would drive by until
Do
Triad
you think
returned.
Shelly's gonna be on it?
I hope so.
Or it just is Shelly.
What?
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Because she wanted him to buy the bike, maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
He
that's
reached
what
the
I meant.
road.
Or
Like
Shelly instead of Triad.
instead
on
of
the
Triad,
motorcycle.
yeah.
He reached the road
That
and
would be
started
awesome.
toward the bridge. The hike to the river took him close to 20 minutes, longer than he expected. Now he had to work quickly. The exercise had done little to get his blood pumping. Indeed, as he knelt and began to tie his rope to the railing at the north end of the bridge, he felt colder than he had in the Corvette. He didn't have his gloves,
cold
and it
by
was
the
hard to
water.
make a respectable knot with his fingers on the verge of going numb. His task was doubly complicated. He had to make his knot strong, but he had to be able to untie it in seconds. There was always the remote possibility someone could come by right after Triad went down. Marvin had never been a Boy Scout. He didn't know much about slip knots and stuff like that. He was always more of a Mudvayne fan, even though the characters in his books used them a time or two.
I was gonna make a Rob Zombie joke. Mar-
We're having a great time.
Love it. Marvin didn't tie his rope where Harry had positioned his, but put it much closer to the Pella side of the bridge. He didn't want the police to find Harry's evidence and connect it with Triad's accident. Indeed, Marvin thought, when he was done, if there was time, it might not be a bad idea to get rid of what was left of Harry's rope. Still, there was plenty of rushing water beneath the spot where Marvin would have to wait for Triad. If he slipped, if he fell, the last book in his series would never get written. Yeah, that's the
What a
part we gotta worry
tragedy.
about.
Yeah.
Marvin had a lot more rope than he needed, but decided against cutting it, which was the reason he had purchased the knife. He wanted to keep his instruments of death as together as possible. Gotta keep the murder tools organized.
Again,
Before
this is
wrapping-
just not where I saw this book was going.
No, not at all.
God. Before wrapping his rope around the opposite rail, he opened his easy-to-pour can of oil. He put his puddle just beyond the spot where Triad would hit the rope and made it wide, 8 feet across the center of the bridge. Marvin knew he didn't need his rope to be in the exact
How
spot
much
the puddle
oil
was.
did he have? 8 feet of oil? That's...
I still don't really understand the oil thing, and we've been
oil-
over it before.
So the oil is so that when they find
one
his
thinks
mangled
someone hung a
body,
rope.
they think, oh, he hit an oil slick and wiped out, instead of, oh, he got closed
Is that
blind
really
by a
what
rope.
happens? Like in fucking Mario Kart, you can't just drive over some oil. Your car just slips like it's on a banana peel.
I
and
feel
you
like we
die.
talked about this
I
in
know we
the last
did,
episode. I
but
feel like
we
there
did
had
not
to be...
solve it.
Oh, no, I think I think it would happen if there was a literal, like a barrel of oil fell over and you drove through it.
I just feel
It would
like
have
it
to
would
be an
disperse
insane...
really quickly.
It would have to be
flat
thick.
surface.
It would have to be a shit load of oil.
Yeah, you
I
have to be
think it's a
driving
bit
through a
more-
vat of oil, which seems impossible.
Yeah.
Borrow the book again, but I think it's a bit more precarious on a motorcycle as opposed to a car.
But you're still just going straight over it.
Look, so
Seems
like
very
maybe they mistitled
cartoony.
the book. He's more of an apprentice of murder, maybe a journeyman of murder, not quite a master.
An
a
intern
novice.
of murder. Borrowing the book again. Okay.
Not easy. Okay, I think it's there.
Yeah. Triad would slide into the oil. Of that there was no doubt. Marvin didn't want to get oil on his rope for the simple reason that he was going to take the rope with him when he left, and he didn't want to get stains on his new car.
Okay.
Priorities.
I hate this guy. I hate him so much.
He's
I've known him
horrible.
for what, 2 minutes? Now came the hard part. He had to go over the side of the railing with his end of the rope and keep both the rope and himself out of sight. Besides, there was always the slim possibility that at the last instant, Triad would glimpse the rope in his headlight and swerve in time to avoid himself serious damage.
I still don't
Don't
understand.
you think you'd see a rope?
Yeah. And I just don't understand the physics. I don't understand the physics of this. I mean, if you're going 90 miles an hour, you probably won't see the rope.
You could do like one of those moves on a motorbike in movies where like they skid and then slide under the rope.
Yeah.
Like in Hobbs and Shaw.
Trailers.
Yeah,
like
in
just
Hobbs and
slide
Shaw.
under a
And
truck.
it'll slide under, and then it'll go back up, and
That documentary, Hobbs and Shaw.
and his motorcycle will make a transformer noise.
Yes.
The acclaimed
And
book
then it'll slip
series,
on the
Hobbs
oil and he'll still die.
Yes.
I would read the shit out of that book.
I would read the hell out of a novelization of Hobbs and Shaw. Oh my god.
Only if it was like 90% them insulting each other.
I mean, yeah.
Let's take a moment to pause below grade level 2, just recommend Hobbs and Shaw.
It's wonderful.
The best Fast and Furious movie they've ever made.
Yes.
God, I hope they make a second one.
Aren't they? I thought they were.
No,
hope
they
they-
haven't announced it at all. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on, especially now that Vin Diesel is in hot water, I guess. I don't know what's going on with that
Sure.
either.
What? He's in
He's
hot
a
water?
sex pest.
He's a sex pest. That's
Who could have seen that coming?
That's
Surprising.
a much nicer way to put it, Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a disgusting person, like we thought he probably was. Which I would like when that news broke. I was like, "This is the easiest decision any studio has ever had to make." Of like, hey, do we kill a character off to save this franchise? There are 50 main characters in those movies.
Oh, but he might have like some like hinky shit in his contract where like they're literally not allowed to do anything without his approval.
Probably.
I think it would be
Probably.
funnier not to kill him off, but to just pretend he never existed. And they're all just happy with it. They just pretend he was never there ever.
Or
No
instead
one
of-
ever mentions him, including his own sister.
Or instead of killing him off, they just do what they did with Paul Walker, who actually died, and they're just like, Dom left. He's right over there.
I
You
don't
can't
even
see
want them
him.
to
Return to
reference
his
him
home
again.
planet.
Yeah. Just don't even mention him ever again.
Yeah, he's
Keep
not
his-
important enough to die off screen.
It's my impression of the song when Paul Walker drove off into the sunset. Of, like,
And when he looked at the camera, and he was just like, and his head like
This-
bobbled on top of his neck.
Yeah, but like,
I was
you
like,
could-
it's definitely not computerized. This is a real face.
I actually, at work, someone was watching the movie Skulls, starring Paul Walker, and I looked at it and I was like, fun fact, that's CG.
Dumb.
Because you really can't tell what's Paul Walker and what's CG because he was a bad actor.
Jesus
Skulls, that
Christ.
movie with Joshua Jackson.
Yeah.
I didn't
Oh
know
my
Paul
god,
Walker was in that.
I definitely watched that when I was
Well, I
younger.
mean, a
It's
CG
been a long
version of him
time.
was.
Yeah.
I doubt it holds up.
Okay. Serious damage. Therefore, as Marvin had already figured, he had to raise the rope just before Triad crossed the bridge.
Hell yeah.
I like more than
It's
anything.
funnier when Bekah does that.
I like to pepper them in only occasionally.
Yeah. I more than anything, I hope that we stop talking about this murder plan.
Yeah.
I'm so
I
tired.
just want it to go badly already so
Yeah.
we can get past
I'm
it.
so
We
tired of
haven't
hearing about
mastered
like
it
the
yet.
oil and the rope and the
Yeah.
bridge and when he's
The
going to do it
triad.
and the triad. Okay. But now he's faced with the dilemma that had done Harry in. The only safe way to hang over the side of the bridge was to secure himself with the rope. A sudden gust of wind, and it was already very windy, could jolt his freezing fingers free. That was hard to say. And send him spiraling down into a cruel bath.
Cruel bath. I love that he.
bath.
It's like not even occurring to me until now that like he saw what he thinks was this exact plan go so badly the kid
That it
fucking
ended up-
died and he
yes.
was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it exactly the same,
Yeah.
no changes.
No changes, no notes, but I'm going to nail it.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
time it's gonna work.
I just have to avoid taking a cruel bath.
Yeah.
The best thing to do was what Harry had done. Wrap the rope around the railing once, and then tie it around his own waist. Marvin hesitated to follow in his mentor's footsteps, because after all, the guy had ended up killing himself, Bekah.
Yeah.
Yet he could see no better way. Here's a better way, Marvin. Fucking go home.
I thought he'd sabotage the motorcycle. I thought that's why he was making such a big deal about selling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the
The
way,
helmet.
he still hasn't gone home. The last time he was at home, he beat the living shit out of his drunk dad.
Yeah.
And left his, like, mother crying and his 11-year-old sister with, like, shards of TV in her face.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I'm out of here. I'm a murderer now, I guess.
Also, I would think he would, like, get the rope out and kill him, whatever, before he puts a helmet on his head. Like, I thought that was going to be the plan. I can't believe he's letting him go get the protective gear.
He wants to give him a fighting chance.
Yeah.
He could see no better way, all right? There's no better way. He consoled himself that he wasn't an uncoordinated duck as Harry had been. What?
Huh?
Except Harry had been an excellent athlete, and still he had died. Marvin tried not to think about it. He'd be careful.
If you thought about it too
Okay.
hard, it would stop making sense.
Yeah. He wrapped the rope around the railing, around his waist. Talk about scary. The trouble with Pella Bridge was that it should have been condemned. Oh my god. Get on with it, man. Time and traffic had done a number on the splintered boards and the rusty beams. Marvin heard the railing groan as he swung his leg over the side, and Marvin himself groaned when he had both legs over and was looking down. He went, oh. The river roared in his ears like the abominable snowman.
Oh, wow.
What?
The river roared in his ears like
I
the
heard
abominable snowman.
That was capital.
That's what the river sounded like. The water looked like black foam gushing from a hole that had no bottom. Sexy.
I did not care for that.
That's what she said.
Ugh. Sounds like the shit I took this morning after drinking porter last night.
The spray touched his face, his ears, and sent a shiver that reached inside his chest. How?
When do you think he's gonna fucking drive back over this bridge? I feel like it's
At
been
least
an
in like
eternity.
5 more pages.
Yeah.
How close is he to the water? Why is the spray hitting him?
I don't know. The way I've pictured it, it's like a skyscraper and like from the bridge to the water, but I
Yeah.
know that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
No, bridges
thinking
normally
the
like
same.
100 or so feet above water.
I guess I don't know. Maybe there's not a lot of distance, but it's just like a fucking rapid.
It's just like
It's just like the
it's
most
just
treacherous
10
river
feet
ever.
above this river that's
the
like
tiny rickety bridge
Yeah.
over top.
it just rained.
I thought it was like cliffs, not like a
I thought so.
babbling brook.
Yeah, it felt like it was really tall cliffs and a big raging crazy river.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's just how foamy and windy it is,
Jesus
blowing
Christ.
all the water up.
Oh right, it is windy.
Oh
All
boy.
right, that tracks. Everything so far adds up
Yes.
completely.
The physics make sense.
Mm-hmm.
For a moment, he wondered what the hell he was doing. But he was
Yeah,
not
me too.
unhappy. Yeah. In fact, he felt strangely exhilarated. Marvin crouched down on the planks that made up the lower level of the bridge. They were longer than the boards that made up the upper layer. They therefore protruded above the water and provided him with a questionable place to wait.
So
I need
master
a
of
diagram.
Yeah, I really need to know what
Which
this
is
bridge
not
looks
the
like.
first time I've said that reading one of these Christopher Pike books.
And also, Christopher Pike has provided us diagrams
Yeah,
before.
if he's going to give us a layout of that party or whatever,
Yeah,
give us a layout of this bridge.
I wish there was a drawing of the bridge. It's like, here's Marvin. Here's the
Yeah.
rope.
Can you let that cat in?
Yeah, there's a cat screaming.
Oh boy, okay. If Triad looked directly his way, however, as he crossed the bridge, he would see Marvin. But Marvin had never looked to the right or left as he had gone over the water, and he doubted Triad would do any differently. We're really fucking stretching this out.
Yeah,
This is unreal.
yeah, get on with it.
It was only in the last minutes that Marvin asked himself exactly what the rope would do to Triad.
What?
The impact would yank him off his bike, surely, but would it kill him? Maybe if you hadn't let him get the fucking helmet. Marvin doubted the rope itself would touch Triad. He had set the rope at handlebar level, lest the rope leave a mark on Triad's chest that would cause the county coroner to probe deeper than an oil spill. Not that the coroner had impressed Marvin as a clever investigator. Did he talk to
What?
the coroner?
No.
I don't remember.
I know he had, like, police files somehow.
Yeah. If he didn't talk to any if he talked to a coroner, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. What would happen to Triad when he hit the bridge? All along, Marvin had assumed that it would kill him, but now he wasn't sure.
Marvin.
Like an idiot.
Right? Like, do some research on velocity or something.
Or
He's a
maybe don't
master
wait until he
murderer.
gets a helmet.
Yeah.
He's a master of murder, not physics.
Yeah. I figured he'd put the rope lower so that it would just, like,
Clothesline the bike.
clothesline the bike, and
Yeah.
then he'd go flying off the bike. I
Yeah.
feel like at chest level, I don't know. I feel like it might just send him flying backwards a bit.
I still
but-
feel like Triad might just not die at all from any of this scenario.
Yeah.
You know, if he does it. Like, even if
Yeah,
he...
he'll probably do like a cool flip and then land on his feet.
He might, like...
and go, Triad. Hell yeah.
oh, and he lands in the oil and, like, slides off the bridge, like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Slides
He just
all the
and
way
spins
home.
Yeah,
with,
just
like,
slides
double
like
middle
risky
fingers.
business, just sliding in.
Yeah. Oh boy, I hope that happens.
Me too.
No. He'll kill him with shame because no one witnessed the neat trick he did.
Yeah. Triad would be returning from Pella with his helmet on. The helmet could take a hard pounding before it shattered. Marvin had taken a couple of nasty spills on the bike while wearing the helmet and had been able to walk away from them with nothing more than badly skinned knees. Of course, those falls had been at speeds more in the 30-mile-an-hour range.
Triad would be doing at least 60, maybe more, when he hit the bridge. It's a real unknown variable that Marvin didn't really think about. Plus, his fall would be instantaneous. He would be snapped back and pinned hard by the demon of momentum.
What?
Yeah, the more Marvin thought about it, the more unlikely it seemed that Triad would survive with enough brain cells left to be called human.
Not like he
If
had
he
any to
ever-
begin with, am I right, Marvin?
If he ever deserved the name.
Triad's
human?
a human?
Or Triad?
He's apparently 3 humans, based off the name Triad.
Right then, far away, Marvin heard the sound. A motorcycle with an engine revved high, coming from the direction of Pella. Marvin
Stop
caught a
it.
glimpse of light in the hills. He reached for his binoculars, which were slung around his neck like a loosened tie, and which
Or
so
like
far...
binoculars.
This whole sentence just reeks of word count.
I really want also, I want the text to start to turn into the lyrics from Bad Outta Hell.
Oh my god.
He reached for his binoculars, which were slung around his neck like a loosened tie, and which so far had caused him more trouble than they were worth. With the wind, they kept banging against his chest. By this time, and he hadn't been waiting long over the side of the railing, maybe 5 minutes, his fingers felt like ice crystals. Felt like I should have said icicles, but ice crystals is more letters.
Tiny little crystals of ice.
He grabbed the binoculars, only to lose them again. He must not have checked that the neck strap was fastened when he bought them. The binoculars slipped out of his hands, bounced on his knees, and toppled into the river.
Evidence.
Christ, Marvin whispered. Yes, said Christ. He felt upset for a moment, hearing the voice of God, but then he realized he didn't need the binoculars. The chance of another motorcycle coming from Pella at this exact time was remote, because he
Not
knew
zero.
every single person that lived there, and
Not
none of
zero.
them had a motorcycle. Plus, he could always it's Italian for motorcycle. Plus, he could always
Beautiful.
reconfirm
You
it
gotta
was
do
Triad.
this when you say it.
Motorcycle. Plus, he could always reconfirm it was Triad by the sound of the bike, as he had done when Triad had passed by a half hour ago. He loved that bike. Maybe it would be harder to distinguish the specific sound of the engine over the roar of the water. I'm just starting to think you really didn't think this through, Marvin.
I think it might not be Triad.
I really, 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 really hope this goes
think he's gonna
super
fucking
badly.
kill Shelly.
It's him, Marvin said to himself. It's got to be him. The faint glow in the hills grew into a powerful headlight as Triad wound his way out of the hills and hit the straight mile stretch that led directly to the bridge. He was going fast, Marvin thought. At least 60, maybe 70, 75.
80.
The glare of the headlight... 90. The glare of the headlight reached Marvin's eyes and his grip on the rope tightened. Naturally, he had left the rope lax across the width of the bridge and around the bar of the railing, but now slowly he began to pull it taut. He realized right then that he would be unable to snap the rope up on Triad in the last second as he had planned. He would have to do it several seconds before Triad got to the bridge if he was to have time to tie off his loop around the railing, so that his own waist did not take the impact off the yank. The impact of the yank. Sorry. Well, he realized something else right then as well. The snap of the rope might yank the railing loose and leave behind evidence of foul play that would be impossible to remove. Indeed, the rope might yank his guts out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, this next line feels like something my train of thought right now.
Holy
Now, why hadn't Mr. Master of Murder thought of that before?
They said it.
That's the first time they've said that,
Your
too.
hands on your hips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that they probably referred to this author as the Master of Murder, but no one ever did.
No one has,
This
yeah.
is just him in this moment calling himself
I'm the
that.
master of murder. No one could see how I did it.
Now, why hadn't Mr. Master of Murder thought of that before?
Wow.
Reality was much more complicated than pretend.
My God.
Fucking. I hope he dies.
I just want to specify that Kelly did not ad-lib that sentence. That is as written.
Oh,
I hope that rope rips him in half, and
Yeah.
then the rest of this book
Honestly,
is
the
Triad
book
trying to
just
figure out what the
ends-
fuck happened.
a book just ends mid-sentence.
I think we found Marvin's legs in the lake.
The rest of the book is just a bunch of people going, what was he thinking?
Yeah.
You know he was
Still.
an author?
Still, Marvin remained committed. He pulled the rope taut. He secured it around the railing. It stretched like a dark knife in the night.
Good sentence.
Triad was coming.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Half a mile away, 30 seconds, and still Marvin was committed. 20 seconds, because he could still see them groaning in each other's arms. Jesus. Quarter of a mile away.
Hell yeah.
50. That's definitely what Triad says when he comes. Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
15 seconds. Because he had told her he loved her. The roar of the engine, 200 yards, and she had told him she loved him. The glare of the headlight, blinding, 100 yards, 4 seconds less, because she had lied to him. But could he really kill someone? Could he? He doubted it.
We went from miles to yards. What's happening?
Especially if it was someone he loved. Shelly! Marvin screamed.
I knew it.
It was Triad, but he had Shelly on the back. In a grotesque glimpse of light and shadow, Marvin saw that Triad, not Shelly, was wearing the helmet. Perhaps his scream alerted
I do have
them.
a question, though.
Yes.
I thought his plan was to kill both of them anyway.
Yeah.
I thought it was when he was, like, hatching his little plan up in the motel.
Yeah. Or
was
was his
gonna
plan to
kill
kill
them
Triad
both.
and be like, now we'll be together?
I thought it was to kill them both, but then it sounds like in the sitting in the car alone, he then wanted to capture Shelly and make
I don't know.
her his. But I thought originally he was
He
going
wanted
to
to
kill
kill
them
both of them?
both.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
I really don't know.
Anyway,
Perhaps his scream alerted them. He couldn't be sure. Maybe Triad or Shelly saw the rope. In any case, Marvin frantically reached to loosen the rope and drop it to the bridge as Triad slammed on the motorcycle brakes and sent the bike into a dangerous slide. Burning rubber screeched over the roar of the river as Marvin watched the rear wheel of the bike crept steadily forward until it was almost in front of the front wheel. It jackknifed! It occurred to him that Triad was no amateur when it came to riding a motorcycle.
God.
What the fuck?
What?
What is any of this?
Oh, you didn't finish your sentence. That Triad was in fact stopping the machine like an expert.
Whoa.
Shelly, Marvin shouted. Yes, in that moment when time was suspended by the insane collection of colliding events that he caused,
Yes.
Marvin felt nothing but fear that Shelly, his Shelly, would be hurt. But he should have saved his fear for himself. Triad brought the bike to a halt 2 feet before the rope, but by then the rope was lying harmlessly on the ground. The insane moments were not over, however. Oh no, they were just beginning. I'm not adding anything.
What the fuck?
Son of a bitch, Triad shouted as he brought the bike back to an upright position and turned off the engine. The stink of fried rubber filled the air. Triad snapped down the kickstand and leapt off the bike. He left the headlight on, however, pointed almost directly at Marvin, who was no longer crouching beneath the rail, but standing upright on what he was beginning to realize was the very wrong side of the fence. Shelley got off the bike more leisurely, apparently unfazed by all the commotion.
She was like, saw it coming.
Yeah. She moved with inexplicable weariness. Such could not be said for Triad, however. He threw off his helmet and stormed Marvin. Also, what a fucking gentleman to wear the helmet and not give it to her instead, dick. He threw off
Hey, she was fine on the way there.
And stormed Marvin as if he intended to knock him off this side of the bridge, which it turned out was precisely his intention. You tried to kill us, you bastard, Triad swore as he grabbed a dazed Marvin by the front of Harry's leather coat and lifted him off his feet. Like a doll. No, Marvin said. Maybe his word lacked conviction.
Me?
It's not even a yell, it's just no.
No.
Maybe his word lacked conviction. Triad didn't seem to hear it.
His face was a mask of ugly lines. Marvin didn't get to examine it closely, though. Triad drew back his fist. You're dead meat. I forget the Triad voice.
It's just
Triad
like
spat.
Like Chocobra.
You're dead meat.
There you go.
Triad spat. The fist flew toward Marvin's face. Marvin ducked. The fist missed his face. This is poetry.
We're getting a real play-by-play.
Thank God, Marvin thought. He still had his teeth, his good looks, but he realized he should have at least waited until he was on solid ground to do his thinking. As Triad fought to recover his balance from his missed blow, he let go of Marvin. Or more exactly, he dropped Marvin off the side of the bridge. Marvin hardly had time to register the fact that he was falling toward the river when he was stopped by a horrible yank. Pain shot through the length of his body as he bobbled in the dark like a marionette with a drunk for a puppeteer. Great
Hold on, wait, I'm
fucking
gonna need to
sentence.
hear that again.
All right.
Can we take that one more time?
Wow.
Pain shot through the length of his body as he bobbled in the dark like a marionette with a drunk for a puppeteer. Fuck, that's good. He still had he still had the rope wrapped around his waist, but it was moving fast. From under his armpits, over the outsides of his arms, he saw that in a moment he would slip out of the rope and fall into the river. I need a scroll.
Oops. Sorry, I was so enthralled I forgot. I was like, and then what, Chris?
And nothing happened for so long that now I'm trying to frantically write that something finally just happened.
He had not tied it as tightly as Harry must have tied his, for fear he would accidentally hang himself by his armpits, as Harry had. Now he prayed he could hang on for a few seconds longer. He reached up with his right hand and grabbed the length of rope attached to the railing 10 feet above him. Triad's big head stuck over the side. He was smiling. "You're still there, huh?" Triad asked. He casually picked at the knot in the rope. "Not for long, sucker." Sucker? He called me a sucker.
Wait, Chris. Remember what his inner monologue sounds like?
I forgot. All right. Sucker. He called me a sucker. Also, like I feel like the perfect excuse you could have is like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys were coming through here. I was trying to figure out how Harry died."
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Obvious lie.
Chris, are you a master of murder?
Journeyman at best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's his name?
Sam
Marvin.
Elliott.
Marvin
yeah.
sounds like Sam Elliott.
In his own head.
Well,
In
we
his
started
head.
doing it. We started doing it just in his own head, and then
Cures.
when he took the turn into being a full-on murder, we were like, "Well, you just sound like Sam Elliott now."
Yeah.
I think.
Fantastic. Had he been suckered? Triad, wait, Marvin shouted. Triad chuckled. For what? You tried to kill us. That's a capital offense. You have to pay for it. You have to die. Stop it, Shelley said as she also appeared. The glare of the headlight illumined the side of her face, and once more Marvin was struck by how weary her expression was.
Illumin?
Rude. It was as if nothing unusual had happened to her this wildest of all nights. Just the same old rope across the bridge trick that Marvin could have been thinking. When would he ever learn? Shelley, Marvin said, and he hated the pleading note in his voice almost as much as he hated the raging water 50 feet below his dangling feet.
50 feet.
How far is 50 feet? What's 50 feet away from us right now? I have no sense of...
That's a good question.
10 lengths of me.
10 Kellys. The water is 10 Kellys
long.
away.
10 Kellys. Are you 5 foot even?
I'm like 5 foot and half an inch, but I round down because it's easier.
This room is, I don't know.
All right, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it like I
This
knew
is
it,
why
and
I
then I was
never
just
learned.
like, I don't know actually. Might be 12 feet.
Well, that fence is 20 feet from the house, right? From the edge of the house.
Is it?
So would that fence be like 50-ish feet from where we're sitting right now?
Probably.
That's not far at all.
Yeah, it's not far.
It's just like a raging fucking rapid of water.
Yeah.
Okay.
He managed to take hold of the rope and pull himself up a foot, momentarily easing the tension on the lasso choking his upper body. Another few feet, and he would be able to grab the edge of the boards he had been crouching on only moments ago. But even as he clung to the rope, he felt it slipping slowly from his grasp. Plus, Triad had not stopped fiddling with the knot. One thing their expressions had in common was disgust. Yet neither looked surprised. "I'm going to drop him now," Triad said. "Let him drown. It'll save everybody a lot of trouble." "No," I said. Shelley snapped as she shoved Triad's hands off the rope. Marvin took the opportunity of their disagreement to hoist himself up another foot. Triad took a step back from the railing, but didn't move so far Marvin could no longer see him.
Now, finally, Triad looked surprised. "You want to save him after what he's tried?" Triad asked. Shelley continued to stare down at Marvin, such loathing in her eyes. Marvin felt like a worm crawling beneath her raised foot.
But he was very turned on.
But wasn't... I've been a bad boy. But wasn't
Step on me, Shelley.
What? Wasn't that what they
Step on me.
But wasn't that what they had called him the night before? Even when he had tried... And even before he had tried to harm them? Even
What?
before.
Worm?
Curious. Very. They set me up. Somehow they set me up. They had known he would be at the bridge. The muscles in his arms burned with fatigue. "He's not going anywhere," Shelley said. "I want him dead," Triad said. Shelley glanced at Triad as if he were a minor annoyance. But Marvin was seeing Triad as a major red alert. And he believed he was seeing things about the guy he'd never noticed before. Things that Triad had carefully buried. Maybe his stark terror had heightened his sensitivity, but Marvin could have sworn there wasn't a trace of the usual puppy dog innocence in Triad's face. This is all italic. Is this his inner monologue? Meanwhile, Marvin experiences a leap in consciousness and finds Clyde out drinking with his best friend Terry Rogers. What?
I'm
What?
confused. Who are these people?
Clyde is telling Terry what a bitch Anne had become, and Terry encourages Clyde to dump Anne while the
he's
dumping
writing.
is good. But Marvin can see that Terry is only telling Clyde this because he wants Anne for himself. In Silver Lake, everyone is screwing everyone else. In Sessa, it was the same old story. It was the same story.
Gasp.
What? What the fuck is going on?
A leap in
This
consciousness.
is still the same chapter.
I know.
I know.
A leap in consciousness. That's what his analysis had been missing. What? Marvin wondered if Triad's innocence had ever been real. "Don't be ridiculous," Shelley said to Triad. "We're not killing anybody. We're going to the police." "The police," Triad snorted, and he wasn't happy. He was outright furious. Shelley couldn't see it because she was too preoccupied staring down at him, Marvin realized. A shadow of disappointment touched her weary expression. "You're so predictable," she said. "I'm sorry," Marvin replied.
No, he said, "I'm sorry."
He reached up another foot and grabbed the edge of the planks he had been standing on while he had been waiting for the motorcycle. With the headlight in their faces, he doubted they knew his exact predicament. But his arms were exhausted on the verge of giving out. If he was going to do something, he was going to have to do it soon. I would have thought Max Slate could have come up with another scheme, Shelley said sarcastically.
Oh, shit!
You know who I am? Marvin asked. She was bitter. I know you. Marvin gasped for a breath. He couldn't hang there all night. You think I killed Harry?
I thought it was just Marvin gasped.
Oh, yeah, like he was startled.
Yeah.
You think I killed Harry? He asked. Shelley nodded. I suspected you had, but now I know. Then why don't you just let him drop? Triad interrupted. He wasn't really asking because he didn't wait for an answer. He grabbed hold of the rope.
Shelley shoved his
Even
hands
blurrier
aside.
page for Chris again.
Oh my god.
It's all good. I got good eyes. Shelley shoved his hands aside once more, but this time Triad shoved her back. She momentarily
Hell no,
disappeared from Marvin's view, only to reappear, her face flushed with anger. We're not killing him, she yelled. Then we'll be as rotten as he is. Let go of that knot. We have to pull him up. Fat shit sister, Triad replied, which is a thing people actually say in real life. And now he wore a maniacal grin. It was a grin Marvin had seen 100 times before and never understood. That was the problem with innocence and insanity. They walked the same narrow edge of reason, or lack of reason.
Do they?
But Marvin could now see that Triad had gone over the edge long ago. There was no reason that Triad couldn't have helped Harry in his plot to get Marvin. Helped him so well that it backfired in Harry's face. He killed Harry, Marvin cried.
What?
Shelley briefly forgot her anger at her co-conspirator. She burst out laughing. Then why was it you who was the one waiting out here in the middle of the night with your piece of rope and your can of oil, she asked. Because you put me out here, Marvin said with his own bitterness. You knew I'd figure out how Harry died. But that was where you were wrong. That's where we were both wrong. You thought I killed Harry. I thought he killed himself. But look at your new boyfriend, Shelley. Look closely. Who's trying to kill you? What? There was power in his words because finally he was speaking the truth, even if he didn't, as of yet, realize exactly what Triad had done to Harry.
What?
So many leaps.
Guys,
So is it...
I don't know what book this is.
It's
Shelley
Master of Murder by Christopher Pike.
Shelley took a step back and cast an uneasy glance at Triad. Triad hardly noticed. He was too preoccupied with undoing the knot in the rope. I told you I want you to stop that, she said. Go to hell, Triad muttered. If you kill him, the police will arrest you, Shelley said. Is this in California? Because that's where I've decided this is.
I think it's like Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I think so.
Same
Northern
thing.
California.
Yeah, California's up there somewhere.
Triad whirled on her. There will be no police. Nobody will know. It's done. You set it up and I'm finishing it. Shelley looked worried. What are you talking about? Marvin did what I thought he would. He acted just like he did before when he got jealous. We've got proof now. We can clear Harry's name. Triad almost choked at the mention of his friend.
Yeah, what?
Harry's name? Harry's fame?
What?
Oh, he's a poet. Who gives a damn?
What?
Harry's
Who gives
dead.
a dame?
He's better off dead. He was happy when it ended. I made sure he was happy. He took you, and he didn't give a damn what I thought. No one gives a damn what I think.
What?
Shelley was very worried now. As am I.
Yeah.
She began to back up slowly. I don't understand what you're saying, Triad. We made a plan. We have to stick to our plan. Marvin is right, Triad cackled.
This feels like Twin
Undeservedly
Peaks,
so.
where people just go insane for no reason.
Yes.
Like, their entire personality is just, like, gone in the flip of a switch.
Yeah.
And in a blur of speed and power, he reached out and grabbed Shelley by the throat. He yanked her towards him until her face was inches from his steaming lips.
Ew. Why are they steaming?
Jesus.
Marvin is a goddamn genius, Triad confided to Shelley. Said the liar. No! Shelley screamed, throwing her head back and trying to shake loose. No such luck. Triad started training for football season the day after the previous football season ended. He lifted weights and injected himself with
What?
steroids and probably ate his hamburger raw.
Well, he's still got a dick, doesn't he? Kick him in the dick.
He took steroids.
They're,
His
it's
dick
smaller
is
now.
nothing.
If he takes steroids,
Yeah,
they're
it's
little
just a
shriveled
shriveled up
raisins.
little
It's just
raisins.
a little shrimp. She can't do anything.
Kick him in the
with
dick, and he's like, "Oh, it's the steroids."
I don't need them anymore. I eliminated my weakness.
He was strong. He shifted his hold on Shelly to the back of her neck and smashed her forehead onto the railing.
Oh my god.
Shelly crumpled to the ground like a broken doll. Triad turned back to Marvin. "I never read any of your goddamn books," he growled. "I bet you can't even read," Marvin shouted back at him because I like the what Chris was doing with his voice.
He's hanging.
It may have been a bad time to insult Triad's intelligence. The glare from the motorcycle headlight had not fooled Triad's eyes one bit. Before he worked any more on the knot, he reached a powerful leg over the side of the railing and trounced on Marvin's clinging fingers.
Trounced?
Trounced! With his foot!
Okay, sure.
Marvin's fingers were about as cold as they could be and still have a trace of feeling left in them. That trace greatly magnified when Triad's heel ground into his knuckles. Marvin screamed and let go of the planks. God. He did not fall exactly as he had a minute before. This time, he had seen the attack coming and instinctively jerked back from Triad just before Triad stepped on his fingers. The jerking motion caused him to swing out away from the bridge as he snapped at the end of his short line. But when an object is swung one way on the end of a rope, it has to swing back the other way. Physics.
Don't fucking talk about physics now. Like it's
I took
been
that
a
shit in
consideration
ninth
at
grade.
any point.
Marvin caught a glimpse of Triad returning to the knot before his momentum carried him under the bridge. It was dark under there. Marvin couldn't see anything and immediately whacked his head on a board. This is crazy. This is fucking crazy.
This is like a fucking cartoon.
This is...
Marvin E. Coyote.
And this is not... I mean, I don't think this is the last chapter.
No, we have
How many pages?
43 pages left.
What could happen?
Oh no.
Every character has such a handful of straws that they've been grasping at.
Not Shelly. She's unconscious.
They've made such giant leaps in logic.
Yeah.
Why did Triad
He
kill Harry?
shot. Huh?
Why did Triad...
Because I think
Did
because he wanted the
I
girl.
don't know.
He did. He said so.
Oh.
Triad was like, yeah, he's right. Marvin's right. I killed Harry.
Marvin is a goddamn genius.
I was just tuning it out because they keep coming up with theories about who's killing who and why.
No.
So
Triad 100% killed Harry.
by doing this rope thing
I don't
or
know.
by
I
setting
really-
up a fake murder of someone else and killing him.
I have no idea.
Oh my god. He shot out his arms and grabbed the offensive piece of wood with both hands. He praised it rather than cursed it when he felt the tension on the rope suddenly disappear. It's not the wood's fault you bogged your noggin. Triad had finished undoing the knot.
I got a baby.
Marvin had felt the remainder of the rope, the part that had been stretched across the bridge, whip down toward the water. That was when he had his first good idea of the entire night.
At least he's self-aware.
Yeah. Ah! Marvin screamed. But it was no ordinary scream. It was a carefully formulated trick. He's so smart.
Good one, Marvin.
He let it trail off swiftly and then suddenly stop as if he got into the water.
So he was just like, ah!
Yeah. And a guy who was like just standing right above his face doesn't know the fucking difference.
Kersploosh. And he did that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Then he became completely silent. He hung under the bridge with the muscles in his arms crying for relief and his lungs bursting for air and didn't utter a peep. Hello? Triad shouted. Marvin? Yeah, like I'm really going to shout back. Over here, Triad. Come kill me. It's getting late.
Wow.
Then Triad did the most amazingly stupid thing. He had to be complimented for not completely falling for Marvin's fake plunge. That was true. But there was no excusing him when he got down on his belly and pulled himself a couple of feet under the railing so that he could lean over to see if Marvin was holding onto the bottom of the bridge. Okay. The fact that Marvin was doing exactly that still didn't get Triad off the hook. Because as soon as Triad stuck his head over the edge and peeked under the bridge, he placed his face in a perfect position for a major rearrangement, courtesy of the heel of Marvin's right boot.
That's a great
This book is so fucking stupid. It has gotten so fucking Looney Tunes. I can't handle it.
He kicked
my God.
Triad's face and it went boing.
This is amazing.
Oh my God.
Hi, Marvin said when he saw Triad's surprised expression. Marvin swung up and kicked as he had never kicked in his life. His first blow caught Triad smack on the nose and made a sickening cracking sound. Hell yeah. A wad of blood burst over Triad's face as if it had been waiting inside a delicate balloon attached to his cheek.
Ew, what?
Triad's head rolled forward and went limp, but that didn't stop Marvin. He swung up once more and kicked the top of Triad's head, causing the football player's fat neck to snap back.
Did he just kill Triad?
He might have. Marvin might have kicked him a third and fourth time if it hadn't been for the fact that his arms simply couldn't take anymore. Desperately, he clawed his way back to the edge of the bridge. In this effort, he was aided by the fact that the bottom of the bridge was crisscrossed by easy-to-grab boards, something that should have been mentioned earlier. In a moment, he was hanging beside Triad's messy face. The guy was still breathing. Worse, he appeared to be coming around. Damn, Marvin muttered. He would have to back up the way he had come to get in position to kick Triad again, if he had the strength, which he did not. No, he thought. He had to get back on top of the bridge or else he was going to fall in the water whether Triad put him there or he did. Marvin took a deep breath and pivoted in midair and raised a clawing hand, groping for anything that would support his weight. Of all things, he got Triad's belt buckle. It said Triad. What the hell?
With an exclamation point.
All caps. Triad!
It said
What
hell
the
yeah.
hell?
Oh my God.
What the hell, he thought. The guy was heavy. He was wedged in the lower part of the railing. If Triad couldn't support him, then they would both drown, and so be it.
Please drown.
Book's amazing.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Oh my God.
One more second. That's all I ask, arms. Marvin muttered.
Feet don't fail me now.
He pulled himself up. He almost gave himself 2 hernias and a stroke in the process. Okay. But he sure felt good when he was sitting on the bridge, catching his breath. He felt like $1 million. No, 2.
He knew because he was a millionaire.
Fucking Christ.
He had, after all, almost that much in the bank. Oh my God.
I didn't read far enough ahead.
And that's 90s 2 million, which is
I
like
hate
5
him.
It's
billion
like 4
now.
minutes.
Yeah.
He's
felt
basically
that
Jeff
way-
Bezos.
Oh, that bald goony fuck. He felt that way for maybe 5 seconds. That was when Triad sat up and looked at him with bloodshot eyes. Where the hell did you come from? Triad asked, dazed. Marvin leapt to his feet and slammed his heel down on the side of Triad's left knee,
Jesus.
which was hanging
Gross.
over his right leg at a precarious angle. Something metallic clanged on the road as Marvin attacked, but he
Belt
didn't take
buckle.
the time to look
It says
down to
Triad
see
on
what
it.
it was.
Really good
There was
evidence.
There was cruel design to Marvin's blow. Triad had hurt his left knee the previous season and had had surgery on it after the last game.
Fuck.
Triad howled at the kick and doubled his knee up to his chest. You're dead meat, Triad swore, grimacing. You said that already, and I'm still kicking, Marvin replied.
Literally.
But he didn't immediately try. But he didn't immediately try to press his advantage. He appeared to have briefly crippled Triad, but the guy had at least twice his strength, even stretched out like a beached whale on the boards. He was debating what to do next when Shelley began to come around. Marvin was both relieved to see that she had not fractured her skull open and disgusted that she had chosen that exact second to sit up.
Disgusted? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, sure. Marvin, she muttered when she saw him standing in the beam of the headlight. She raised an unsteady hand to her eyes to shield them from the glare. Where's Triad? Triad, of course, was sitting only 3 feet to her right.
Triad's dyad, baby.
Jesus Christ. Triad snarled in response to her.
Zed's death.
Yes. Yes. Triad snarled in response to a remark and reached out and grabbed her by the mane of her long brown hair and dragged her to his side.
Which part of the hair is the mane?
It's like the part that's the horsiest. Was not expecting that good of a response.
You son of a bitch.
Shelley let out a
stupid.
painful shriek and she went for a moment. Triad trying to use her as a crutch to help him stand up, but Shelley was not as easy to handle as a piece of furniture.
Talk about treating women like objects.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Triad's left leg crumpled as soon as he put weight on it, but the football player was tough. He continued to hang on to Shelley, who was now fully awake and whacking him fiercely. "Let go of me, you bastard!" she swore. "Sure," Triad said. He drew back his hand and slapped her across the face.
Oh, fuck you, Triad.
The noise from the blow made Marvin
You know what?
wince.
I'm still Team Shelley, even though she seems crazy, and I don't really understand why she set this all up.
I'm definitely
I
still...
am so Team Shelley.
I'm also Team Shelley. Marvin was going to murder someone for literally no reason.
Somehow seems the most hinged.
Yeah.
She's
Of all these
diabolical,
unhinged.
but she's all we have.
Oh my god.
That's all we have to cling on
She's
to.
all we have. She's all Triad has to cling on to
She's not
also.
the hero we need, but she's the hero we deserve.
The noise from the blow made Marvin wince. Still, he didn't immediately go to Shelley's aid. Shelley's head wobbled on her neck for a moment, just like Paul Walker at the end of Fast. Not when he died. When he was
Yeah,
CG.
when he was bad CG.
Her head wobbled on their neck for a moment, but she didn't lose consciousness. Blood seeped from her nose as she glared at Triad. "You're the one," she said bitterly. The one what? Triad
I don't know.
gripped her tighter. "Hold still," he said. "Better let her go," Marvin said, slipping back into Sam Elliott. He was delighted at how he had managed to turn the tables on them and solve the mystery all in the space of 5 minutes.
Is that what you did,
Is that,
Marvin?
yeah, is
what?
that what you did?
Is that what just happened?
Is that how you
Marvin
rewrote
is
what just happened?
Delulu.
Truly.
What he's telling himself.
I'm Mr. Murder. Mr. Master of Murder. But
Mr. Murder Master.
But they were at a dangerous stalemate, which was made doubly dangerous when Triad's eyes flashed on the knife lying on the bridge near his injured leg. "Marvin, you fool." Marvin saw it at the same instant. It was his knife, the one he had bought at Sears.
Thank God for that detail.
You know,
Oh, man.
the one he bought at Sears and Roebuck. It must have bounced from his pocket when he crunched Triad's knee. Don't say crunch.
Crunch.
Blech.
They both went for the blade, but Triad had only to reach over and pick it up. It was no contest. "Stop," Triad said to Shelley as he raised the knife to her throat. She was a spunky girl, but she was no dummy. She became perfectly still as the blade pressed against her skin. Marvin backed off a couple steps. "You are scum," Shelley whispered through chattering teeth. The cold wind continued to howl. Triad surveyed the scene and smiled. How has no one driven over this bridge?
Yeah,
in
I don't
this
know.
amount of time.
Because it should have been condemned.
"I want you to wheel the bike over to me," Triad said to Marvin. "And if I don't?" Marvin asked. "If you don't," Triad said, and he poked Shelley just enough to prick her skin and send a red streak running down the front of her pale neck.
God.
"I will slit her throat open."
How are
Marvin
villains
considered
so
for
good
a
at that?
moment.
What?
Marvin
How are
could...
villains so good at like poking just enough to get the drip of blood down, but not
They practice.
without killing
They
them?
practice on like pigs and shit.
Marvin considered for a moment. "All right," he said. Triad blinked. "All right, what?" "Slit her throat open," Marvin said. Triad chuckled. "I'm not bluffing." "I'm not either." Marvin casually picked up the helmet Triad had thrown down when he'd stormed to the railing and placed it over his head. He began to readjust the strap. He checked the time on his watch. "I'm going home to take a warm bath," he said.
What?
"Marvin," Shelley moaned. "Yes, Shelley?" Marvin asked. "What can I do for you?"
What?
Oh, this is amazing.
Why does Chris keep getting all the blurry pages?
Oh my God.
Her eyes were wide. She was scared. He would have been with a blade that sharp pressed to his throat. "Save me," she said pitifully. I'm switching Triad's voice. "I'll do it, Marvin. I'll open your lady love up like a piece of meat."
Ew.
"I don't mind," Marvin said. Both Triad and Shelley were shocked. "You can't just leave," she complained.
You can't take my bike.
Triad said. Marvin finished readjusting the strap on his helmet. He strode over to the motorcycle and swung his leg over the seat. Triad had left the key in the ignition. Yeah, because he almost fell off the damn thing. "But I can," Marvin said.
What?
"I'm the master of murder." He booted the kickstand up and started the engine. The Corvette was nice, but it felt good to have his old wheels beneath him. His fingers were stiff from when Triad had stepped on them, but not so stiff that he couldn't crank the throttle.
Yeah.
Vroom vroom. The roar of the bike mingled with that of the wind and water. Marvin felt a strange relief inside, one he hadn't known in a long time. "He'll kill me," Shelley cried.
I'll kill her.
Triad agreed.
You're both doing a great job.
Marvin
Very
smiled.
convincing.
Oh my god, I just accidentally read ahead.
Oh,
Marvin smiled.
shit.
"I'll tell you what Max Slate would say about this situation. He would say that it was BS. The heroine sets the hero up, but now she wants him to rescue her, but he doesn't have the motivation.
You got to
see.
read this like, what's his name? John Wayne.
Okay, John Wayne.
This has big like Jack Burton energy, which is just John Wayne.
I'll tell you what Max Slate would say about this situation. He would say that it was BS. The heroine sets the hero up, but now she wants him to rescue her, but he doesn't have the motivation, you see. He doesn't care if the villain kills her. Then there's the villain himself. He's as bad off as the heroine. He doesn't know that he's already blown it. He can't kill the heroine because then the hero will tell the police. He can't kill the hero because he can't get to him. And in the middle of the night when you hear that thunder rolling,
Jesus Christ.
I don't get that reference.
That's from Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay.
Kelly, this is you.
No, I know. I just like the audio went out. So did you stop at the? For me, the audio went out. So I'm just trying to figure out where you.
we stopped out with hero because he can't get to him.
Okay, cool. That's what I was hoping. All right. Sorry. I'm going to try to carry on this accent. I've never done John Wayne in my life. The villain may as well kill himself. Or here's a better idea. The heroine should try to kill the villain. The guy is rotten to the core, and it would give the heroine a chance to redeem herself. If that's possible. There were tears on Shelley's face.
Oh,
How can she do it?
I think she
she
froze.
asked.
Yeah.
For a moment, Marvin's cool demeanor wavered. A pretty face could do that to a guy. Certainly to him. But the last couple of days had taught him what a pretty face could hide. His resolve strengthened. There's always a way, Marvin said. He drove away. He left them on the bridge,
Oh
at
my
each other's
fucking
throats,
God, Marvin.
in the middle of the cold night. His conscience was clear.
Was it?
Somehow. He hadn't hurt anybody. Questionable.
Didn't
He
you?
couldn't worry about everything. He had things to do. He had a book to write.
Oh my God.
just before he drove off, he said, "Fuck bitches, get money."
Part of me wishes the book would end right there.
Girls do it well.
Whoa. Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
since we're in between chapters,
Yeah.
I need to pee, and I genuinely do not want to miss any of it.
Yes.
Like Aerosmith
That's
said,
fine.
Chris doesn't want to miss a thing. I'm not reading ahead. I just want to see
I don't
how
wanna close
long
my eyes.
this chapter is.
I don't want to fall
Because
asleep.
that chapter was truly
The chapter is so long.
batshit long. Yeah. Chapter 13. Marvin did not go home. Still, why would he? He didn't have
He's a millionaire.
He didn't have family to check on or anything. He did stop at his car, however, to collect his wallet and his checkbook. He felt unhappy about leaving his new Corvette, but figured he could send someone for it in the morning. Send someone for it. He wanted to be on his bike. He wanted to feel the wind on his face, the miles passing under him. He planned on riding all the way to the coast, where so many girls thought the imaginary Max Lake composed his wonderful murder mysteries. This time, he had a story to tell. Marvin drove half the night before he caught the salty whiff of the Pacific Ocean. He ended up in a small seaside town called Forest. Appropriately enough, its few buildings were surrounded by deep forest.
Wow. Very creative. Good
There he
job.
stayed at a tiny motel called Fred's House.
It's just going to be called Motel.
He slept to noon the next day, and when he awoke, he left and rented a cottage overlooking the crashing waves called Cottage Waves. Called Wave Cottage.
Oh my god. This is going to be another nothing.
Called
Half a
Cottage
chapter.
Overlooking the Crashing Waves.
Next, he drove to a neighboring town called Tabot, which was a little larger than Forest, and where he was able to
Then
rent a
what?
computer and a printer. He had a devil of a time carrying them both back to his cottage on his motorcycle, but he did manage. The cottage was furnished. It even had a coffee
Wait.
pot,
He rented a what? A computer?
a computer and a printer, and
That
brought
he-
them on his
That
motorcycle
he drove on a
to
motorcycle?
the cottage. Correct.
He also had to rent bungee cords.
No, he just like on one hand. He
Yeah.
had him on one hand.
Rent to own. Bungee cords.
It even had a coffee pot, always a good friend to a writer past his deadline. There was also a phone, and he sat down and placed 3 calls. The first was to his sister Anne.
Thank God.
He got her answering machine. Okay. She had her own phone. I was about to ask, but
Okay, thank you.
the sentence helped me. I need to borrow again. He left the message that he was all right, working on his book, and that she would see him Friday. Next, he called his editor. He promised her she would have... He promised her she would have his manuscript in her hands Saturday. He would express mail it to her home address, and she'd be able to read it over the weekend. Finally, he called Big Ed, the guy who had sold him the Corvette. Forgot about that. He described where the car was and promised Ed a couple of $100 if he'd pick it up and store it at the dealership until he returned for it on Friday. Ed was wise enough not to ask too many questions. If I was Ed, I'd just
I'd say
hang
no.
up the phone.
Yeah. I already sold you the car. I don't need whatever the
Yeah.
fuck this is.
I don't need to remove your evidence from the
100%
crime scene.
dead body in this car.
Yeah. Then Marvin disconnected the phone. There was a stereo in the living room, and Marvin set up his computer at the kitchen table. He flipped the dial on the local rock station and turned the volume up high.
Even flew.
He started to write. Boy, did he write. He sat at his computer, typing at warp speed until his spine ached and his belly growled. Then he walked to a nearby store and bought a sandwich, a bag of chips, and a Coke.
What kind of sandwich
And
was
then he
it?
breathed in, and then he breathed out, and then he blinked.
He ate the sandwich, then he had to go to the bathroom.
And then he pooped out the sandwich and pissed out the Coke. But not the potato chips, strangely enough.
They stayed in there.
He absorbed them into his soul.
I'm having a sneeze attack. Hold on.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Chris muted his mic, so it just looks like Chris going,
Okay. This is still in audio format.
yeah,
All right.
there's video.
But he didn't loiter. He didn't talk to anybody. He didn't stop to stare in any store windows. He walked straight back to his cottage and sat down at his computer. I'm going to sneeze again.
Oh,
The plot of his book thickened. Clyde began to suspect that his best friend, Terry, had killed Anne. But Clyde didn't tell anybody, not even the reader. And a few pages later, he
what?
turned up dead in the same lake where Anne's body had been found. Outside the cottage, the sun set and then came back up, and Marvin went
Just
for
sneeze.
another
Just sneeze already.
sandwich.
This is worse
The
than you
plot
sneezing.
deepened. Sweet Mike.
Sweet Mike. Sweet, sweet Mike.
The plot deepened. Sweet Mike, who had had sex with Anne in front of a blazing fire, began to suspect that Clyde would not have committed suicide out of grief. Not a year after his girlfriend had died, Mike went to see Jessica, Anne's best friend, who had sex with Clyde on the hood of her green Alfa Romeo.
Awesome.
Mike
What is
tells
any
Jessica,
of this?
Mike tells Jessica.
book.
Oh,
I know, but,
it's
like-
him writing his book. So
I know,
But I
Mike
love that
tells
his
Jessica
books
of
are
his
supposedly like
suspicions.
as popular and
Yeah.
anticipated as like Game of Thrones, and it's all like, and that Mike is Jessica, and
Yeah.
Clyde was
It's-
on the car.
It's the Wikipedia summary of a non-existent book.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
So, not a year after his girlfriend died, Mike went to see Jessica, Anne's best friend, who had had sex with Clyde on the hood of her green Alfa Romeo. Mike tells Jessica of his suspicions. Then Mike and Jessica fall in love right in the middle of their conversation.
What?
Jessica is, after all, as beautiful as Anne was. She was getting better looking every few
Okay.
paragraphs.
What? Okay, hang on one second.
I can't even try to understand this book within a book.
Earlier it said Clyde began to suspect that his best friend Terry had killed Anne, but Clyde didn't tell anyone, not even the reader. So
Yeah.
So
Bad
so
writing.
so who? How do you? So then he didn't suspect. So like, if he didn't even tell the reader that he suspects, like then that's not in the book. What? What?
Yeah.
It's the character's
Yeah.
motivation, I guess. It's just not written down.
Alright.
Dumb.
Okay.
It was getting better looking every few paragraphs. but
Can't
by
argue with
then,
that. It is very dumb.
I also get better looking every few paragraphs. It was not funny at all.
I get better looking every few beers.
Oh boy.
But by then, Marvin was exhausted, and he lay down and slept for a few hours. When he awoke, Mike and Jessica were kissing in a jacuzzi and wondering why they had never noticed each other before. But they didn't have sex because they both suddenly remembered Anne and began to cry in each other's arms.
Where'd he get that idea?
They had sex the next night, however, when they were both feeling stronger.
I'm
for
emotionally
sex.
strong enough to have sex
Yeah.
with you now.
They had sex the next night because they didn't the previous night, and they both had blue balls.
It was while lying beside Jessica that Mike came up with the idea that Anne had not died in Silver Lake, but had died hanging from a bridge that stretched across the page and over a river that ran into the lake.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Let's just get
It
through
doesn't
it.
matter. It doesn't matter. What if
Just
someone
don't,
from
like-
what if someone from Sessa or Palo, where the fuck town he lives in? What if they read this book
Yeah.
and they're like,
I was
huh,
just thinking that too. You're just now
is-
writing
What if
about
that's
a
what
murder
Shelley
that
did?
already happened.
this is incredibly similar to a real thing that just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how Shelley figured it out. You know, Shelley, who dated Harry, who died on a bridge, was reading the series and was like,
Yeah.
this sounds awfully familiar.
Yeah.
And Marvin has called himself a master of murder, so I'm starting to think Marvin's back slate.
He didn't wake Jessica and tell her, however. He loved to look at her while she was sleeping.
Not creepy at all. It's super normal.
Somewhere in the middle of Mike's analysis of Anne's death, Marvin had to rest again. He was enjoying writing from Mike's point of view more than ever. The guy was having a lot of good times with Jessica, and Mike was a lot like him. In fact, Mike probably was him, if the mirror theory of
Yeah.
his series and his life was
What?
accurate. Uh-huh. Yet he already knew that it was only partially true. Harry Pastor's murder had inspired Anne McGaffer's murder. Sessa had planted the seed of Silver Lake, but a parallel was not the same as a copy. There were more people in the book than he knew in real life, and he still didn't know how the book would end. The days rolled into one long spin of the earth around the sun. He drank pots of
What?
coffee,
What?
ate sandwiches from the deli, and occasionally walked along the beach. The sound of the crashing waves revived him when he was most exhausted. He was in a
You think
tunnel
the
of
deli workers
concentration.
are like, this guy loves sandwiches?
They're like, where'd this tired kid come from?
Tired, stressed
heard
out
he's
Yeah,
a
teenager.
writer.
This like 17-year-old kid with bags under his eyes keeps coming in and ordering sandwiches.
He looks so haunted.
he looks so haunted.
I don't want to go out on a limb here, but that guy looks like he hung under a bridge for a while.
He was in a tunnel of concentration he had been in before, but never had he been driving so fast. Yet he felt the power. He had been within inches of death and survived. What a rush! And as Max Slate, he controlled the destinies of everyone in Silver Lake. Back at the computer, back in Mike's mind, Mike visited Jessica unexpectedly and found her making passionate love to Terry in the backyard next to the doghouse. Poor dog.
The dog watched, super into it.
Poor Mike. He was devastated. He wanted revenge. He wanted to kill them both, but Terry first because there was still a possibility that Mike would make love to Jessica one more time. Before he killed her, of course.
So was that Marvin's plan? Like, I'll kill Triad, and then I'll kill Shelly, maybe after I fuck her, though.
A different way.
I guess. I didn't get that the first time he was planning his terrible plan.
Yeah. Jessica, who was not only Anne's best friend, but her alter ego as well. What? Mike came up with a plan to destroy Terry, taking bits and pieces of how Anne had been destroyed. Yet Mike didn't understand that Terry was the ultimate villain. Mike only knew that he felt good about plotting Terry's murder when only a couple of months before he couldn't have hurt a fly. But that was the key, inside and outside the series. Where do you get your ideas from, Mr. Slate? He could finally answer that one, he thought. And he's super sane. The stories were all a subconscious interpretation of reality. Can you dig that? Sweet Mike of Silver Lake fame could. I'm not adding a single goddamn word.
Sweet Mike.
Sweet Mike. He sold Terry a motorcycle and told him he could pick up the registration slip in a nearby town on the other side of the bridge. But Terry asked Jessica to come with him, and Jessica went because she believed her plot to catch the dastardly Mike had finally come to fruition. Yes, sad as it was to reveal the truth to millions of teenagers, but Jessica had been plotting against Mike from the opening sentence of the last book, and the only reason she had slept with him was that it was required of her. Late Thursday night, Marvin brought his characters to their final confrontation on the bridge. By early Friday morning, Mike was able to escape the deadly arena with the other two at each other's throats. Yet Sweet Mike was not happy. Why is it Sweet Mike?
Sweet Mike.
Because he's Sweet Marvin.
Yet Sweet Mike was not happy. He still had things on his mind. What if in the book, Mike went to a nearby town and rented a cottage and started writing a book?
Oh my god.
It just starts
And it just
folding
started,
in on itself.
it just keeps
Like
going.
more
and going.
pages,
What a Bornos
more
of
pages start
nonsense.
appearing.
Oh no.
So did Marvin. Marvin sat back from his computer and wondered if Shelley was okay. He had come within maybe 5 pages of the end of the book. He could go no further until he returned to Sessa. Or you could write a book about stuff you make up instead of just writing down all the shit that just happened to you.
He's 17. He's not good.
He is, though.
He's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He checked the time. It was 2 a.m. It would take him an hour to spell check his work. The printer he had rented was a letter quality dot matrix. It would take 3 hours to print out the entire
I was just
manuscript. Don't they have email? Can't he just email it?
No, there's no email. This is like 1990. 1992? There's no email.
I think he has email.
There's no email. I mean, there is email, but not for people.
Books, not for people.
Not for people. No, the only people who had email were like Harvard professors and Al Gore in 1992. And they
Certainly not at that college.
All right. It would take 3 hours to print out the entire manuscript, during which time he could sleep to the relaxing sounds of a dot matrix
sleep to the
printer.
sound. What if that was one of our sleep sounds that we listened to? All right.
The white noise sleep sound for elder millennials.
And then the sound of
The
someone.
AOL dial-up sound too.
Yeah. And then the sound of someone tearing off the little
edges.
the edges.
Bekah just said all right 4 times, and I just created a new word that you'll either love or hate, and it's Bekah.
Oh, I do hate it. You're correct. I
the
also
fuck
don't
outta
even
here.
remember saying that.
Why would anyone like that?
If he woke at, say, 6 o'clock, it would be 9 o'clock in New York, and his agent and editor would be in their respective offices. Then, with a few calls, he could get a new ball rolling in his life. You're actually just continuing to roll the same ball of this book you were already supposed to give them months ago. Marvin finished cleaning up the book and started printing it. He had tentatively titled it The Mystery of Silver Lake 6, Night of Grief.
So that's amazing. And that confirms he's written 6 books in 1 year.
We were so sure it's 4 or 5.
Oh my god.
It had been 5, so this was number 6.
This is number 6.
That's fucking crazy.
He crashed on the sofa in the living room. When the noise of the printer stopped, it would wake him.
What?
I guess when the power goes out and the sleep sounds turn off, that does wake us up.
That's true. Yeah, nothing wakes me up more than silence.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ.
He slept well for the 3 hours. He always did when one of his books was printing. Hello, Ben. This is Marvin. I've decided to accept that offer and fly down to Hollywood to meet with the director and the producer. Sorry, this is sometime later.
I thought it was a dream.
Maybe it is. Can you arrange things for me? Great, yeah, we'll finally get to meet. I'm sure neither of us will look the way the other thought. What was that? Oh, those letters. Yeah, I found out who was sending them. Just some young girl. You don't have to worry about her. I'll talk to you soon. But Marvin
Wait, he doesn't know who was sending them.
No, he
I
doesn't.
bet it was
He's
Shelley.
lying. And also, I thought that none of the people he worked with knew his real name, but now I don't remember. The beginning of this book felt like an eternity ago.
They definitely don't know he's underage.
Okay, yeah. But Marvin was worrying more and more about Shelley.
It was as if getting all the recent events out of his system and onto paper had given him a more genuine perspective on things.
You don't say.
I did leave her in the hands of a murderer.
Yeah,
Yep.
you did do that. You could have at least placed an anonymous call to the police.
You also left your mom and sister with a drunk, angry dad.
Violent man,
yeah.
Marvin called his editor next.
If there's one thing that we know definitively about Marvin, is that he will flee.
Yes, he does like to flee.
He will flee the scene of whatever is happening.
Yeah.
Bye, bitch.
Yeah. I don't want to clean this up.
Marvin called his editor next. Hello, Pat. Rejoice. The book is done.
Rejoice.
Hear it printing in the background? That's it. No, I'm not just telling you that. You'll see it tomorrow morning. You will know who killed Anne McGaffer. You can't wait? Alright, I'll tell you right now. Just kidding. Hey, Pat.
Good one, Marvin.
You fucking asshole.
Hey, Pat, I thought of this great promotional idea. I want your publicity department to contact the media out here and have them come to a reading of excerpts from the final installment in the Silver Lake series. I want to do the reading at a local high school called Sessa High. It's in Oregon.
Oh, we're in Oregon.
That's where I
That's right.
live, yeah. You like the idea? I thought you would. I want to do the reading this afternoon. Yeah, today, at noon. Sure your people can arrange it. Why not? It'll just take a few phone calls. No, I'm not going to read the part that explains who killed Anne McGaffer, you dumb idiot. Do you think I'm crazy? What? I feel it's time I came out of the closet. It's getting stuffy in here. I agree. I deserve more personal recognition. The reading's got to be this afternoon. The principal at the high school must be contacted promptly. He's to notify the student body that I will do a signing after the reading so that all the kids can bring their books. I realize I might have to sign 1,000 books. I don't care. It'll be fun. The principal and the media must be told that my real name is Marvin Summer. That must come from you, not me. This is totally not personal. That is very important.
Just read the rest of this. Yeah.
That's my real name. Really. Monday will be too late. Why? Because, Pat, this story is not just any story. A few minutes later, Marvin set the phone down. Pat said she would get on it right away. It was time to go home.
I like to think that whole
What more
entire
could happen?
I like to think that whole one-sided conversation, if we were watching this as a movie,
Yeah,
it would
his
just
phone's not plugged in.
or he would turn around and he's just holding a banana and he's just like, and tell her I'll do a signing too.
It reads just as diluted. Like, it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Oh shit!
I feel like I've taken drugs.
Yeah.
I've not even had a lick of alcohol. Like, I'm raw dogging it through this.
Oh my god, you are a trooper.
How?
But like, I mean, yeah, you feel the natural high of reading a Christopher Pike book.
I know.
It's really like it really like sets off your fight or flight.
Yeah.
I
You're
feel
really
like I
hitting
could
that Pike
step on a
peak.
footballer's knee.
Holy shit! Wow. Yeah. Seriously.
What was that?
What else could happen?
I guess like a big reveal, but we already know
Yeah.
who did it. But I feel like that's what the setup is. Like I feel like the reading in the cafeteria is the Hercule Poirot. You're wondering why I've gathered you all here. Like
you're
reveal.
right.
Scene.
Oh my god, you're
Yeah.
right.
But like we know some stuff, unless that stuff's not true and Triad actually didn't kill anybody, and we're gonna find something out in a minute. I don't fucking know, bro.
I don't know.
And frankly, I don't want to know. Please
Triad's-
don't call me for the next.
we will not tell you what happens.
Triad's gonna
Stop asking me on this show.
Triad's gonna show up at the signing in like a wheelchair.
God.
Dude definitely
So
can't
what's
walk.
better?
I'm
What's better, Kelly? This or Animorphs?
Oh, this. This is like, no, this is the good kind of unhinged. Animorphs just makes my skin crawl and like not. It's just like I'm just uncomfortable thinking too much about the bowel movements going from human to cat.
Yeah.
And I can't get past anything else. This is straight up like some fucking fever dream shit. I love it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, this is insane. It really does.
I just finished a book recently where the main character, it was just a bad decision bender from beginning to end, and I really thought that was the craziest person I'd read all week, but it was a competition.
but then we had Christopher Pike for you.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, yeah, no one does like absolutely crazy like protagonists better than Christopher Pike, I feel like.
Should we rename the show Trauma Bonding?
No, I already know. I've had hard enough time marketing it as it is. I'm not going to rename my shit again.
Make it impossible to find.
Exactly. Whoa. Okay, so this was great. Becca, were you going to say something?
I was, but now I don't remember.
Okay. Did this break you?
I guess so. I'm too tired to process this fast enough. Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like based on his other books, I've been expecting something supernatural this whole time. And it really hasn't happened. I feel like there's like hints about it.
Well,
But
it's really weird because
That's
remember...
why I think the jacket did it. That's in line with all the other Christopher Pike works.
I guess he still got that jacket with him. But
The jacket was made from a cow that was born and raised and slaughtered on an Indian burial ground.
The Remember Me was 100% supernatural because it was ghost shit.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like
From the
ghost
jump.
physics and ghost logic. And then Eternal Enemy felt supernatural, but then I think it just end up being like sci-fi nonsense.
Well,
like
yeah,
It was
but
him
that's
from the
still-
future, wasn't it?
yeah.
I guess I'm still counting that as supernatural because there's fucking time
Because
travel and robots
Yeah,
in
because
it.
it's not
Yeah.
So, like androids download
An
And
element
kissing
of
your
the
friends.
freaky deaky.
in a robot body.
Okay.
So
Okay, fair
just
enough.
nothing like that has actually happened in this book so far. I feel like they just keep hinting around it, and I guess I don't remember the description exactly, but it felt like the premise was going to be he writes about shit
And that
and
comes
then
true.
it happens.
Yes.
But all he has done is write about something that already happened.
Yeah, it's
He's not like accidentally writing the future.
It's like he accidentally solved the murder in his books. You know, like it's like he like just heard about stuff and then was just
but
like,
it's just like hacky.
oh no, it's
It's
super
like,
hacky.
oh,
yeah.
I had this idea for how my book's gonna end.
No,
I'm gonna
it's
write down
pikey.
everything that happened to me in the last couple days.
This book
It's not
is
even inspiration.
it is on track to be the most grounded Christopher Pike book.
Yeah, I'm just
Fuck.
confused by it because I've been waiting for that
Yeah.
like weird
For, like, the
supernatural
weird-
thing to happen.
Right.
Turns
Well-
out the power was just write what you know.
There's still
Yeah,
like
it's just an idiot teenager being an idiot, and I'm so disappointed in that.
there's still something like 30 pages left or something. I don't
I
know.
guess,
It's probably like
yeah.
one more
I guess
chapter.
we'll see what happens.
Oh my god.
Except for Kelly, she won't. She won't be.
Kelly
here.
won't see what happens.
She won't be a part
Smell
of
you
this.
later, losers.
Kelly will just show up in the middle of another random book sometime.
Yeah.
We just keep bringing you in to scramble your brains and then send you on your way.
I mean, if it's not you guys, something else would do it. So
It's fair enough.
at least I'm having fun at this scrambling.
Yeah.
Kelly, thanks for being on the show again. What do you have to plug for anyone listening?
The book The Guest by Emma Cline, which I thought was the craziest narrator I've encountered in a long time, but Marvin might give this gal a run for her money.
Nice.
We'll take a note of that.
Becca's writing it down.
You're gonna be like, wow, I think I hate this, but I can't stop reading it. And then it's gonna end, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck just happened? And then you're gonna go onto Reddit and see if what you thought aligns with what people on Reddit thought, and then you're still not gonna be super sure about it, but you're gonna be thinking about it for a few days.
Interesting.
Someone
the best
else
part of finishing a book is going on Reddit and seeing what other people thought.
I think someone else recommended that book to you.
Do I have
really
two notes about the
unlikable-
same book? Because that would be hilarious.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
A very unlikable, unreliable narrator. But like, it's like watching a slow car wreck. It's
Interesting.
I loved it. I didn't realize I loved it until it was over, because I was just like, oh my god, this is like a fever dream nightmare.
That's,
I'm so anxious.
It's every David Lynch movie I've ever seen.
Oh god. Well, I didn't try to fall asleep to get through the David Lynch movie like I did with this book, so I'd say I like it better.
Chris, what do you want to plug?
I want to plug the Sketchy Show, available on the Cactus Rodeo platform, which this is also on. It has me, Jonathan, sometimes Bekah, sometimes Kelly, and John Walker, who is a returning champion of this show, and you can find me on that.
And I'll just plug the rest of this show below grade level. We've got a lot of episodes. We're coming up on our 100th, not like super soon, but sooner than later. And we have kind of a fun idea for that one.
We've traumatized so many guests.
Yeah, I know. So, listen to that and listen to the rest of our stuff and read my comics, cactusrodeo.com. Check it out. Find us on Facebook. Follow Below Grade Level on Instagram. We have an Instagram account where I post clips from the episodes, and they're fun. They're fun to watch and listen to. Anyway, that's it. Find out what happens next time when I've finished reading Master of Murder. I cannot wait to find out what the fuck happens. Join us next time. We love you. Bye.
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 Below Grade Level is a Cactus Radio production. You can contact us at podcast@cactusrodeo.com. Subscribe and follow on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, and follow Cactus Rodeo on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more entertainment and updates.